I'd just briefly like to tell you about this diagram, but first of all, I'm delighted that I'm here today, and I'm really, really delighted that the Change Fund ever happened, because the Change Fund has actually opened the door for the third sector to work closer in partnership with the NHS and the local authority. So as I say, I'm delighted. There's loads of opportunities. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time going around this diagram. I'm just going to go around clockwise, a snapshot of some of the things on there. First of all, under the developing social networks, there's the Good Morning service, and this is delivered by Good Morning Glasgow. And I think the really good thing about that service, it actually phones isolated people up 365 days of the year. And what they do is, if that person isn't in, they go and find them. Whether they check their appointment, if they can't find the person, they get their next of kin. If they can't get the next of kin, they actually do send the police round. So it's a really good safeguard for those people. Next of all, we've got a befriending service. We actually run that befriending service, but the demand has actually been so great that we're now looking at different ways of doing befriending, introducing more group befriending so people can interact with themselves. We're going to do shopping trips and things for people that can get out, so as I say, so we can meet demand. And also, we've now started older people's activity centres, and eventually we're hoping that there's going to be one of these in each of the main towns in South Ayrshire. And what actually happens there is elderly people go along and they could do Tai Chi, they may do armchair exercises, they could do yoga. We've got a creative writing group at the moment. There's people that go and do arts and crafts, and a lot of the elderly people are really pleased because it's somewhere for them to go, and in the locations they can actually also purchase a meal. Going on to round 2, information access, we've actually developed some directories. There's copies of those at the back, but these are actually, we're going to rerun these, but there's actually going to be maps and far more information on them, and they'll be coming out later in the year. We're going to offer some pre-retirement training, and I know the NHS and the local authority and other really large companies do offer pre-retirement training for their employees, but there's hundreds and hundreds of people every year in South Ayrshire that retire from very small organisations. They have no idea about what they can do in their retirement time. We're going to look at perhaps some of them might want to start up their own businesses, so we're going to work with people that are retiring. We've got the Strictly Seniors and the new Strictly Seniors magazine. There's some at the back there, but the new issue will be coming out in October. With regards to building capacity, we were privileged enough to have some members of a team at Vassar who have actually delivered some of the services, and they actually went out and have actually mapped the local area. In sheltered housing, they've now got well-being rooms, and I even found out yesterday that they have hug groups, which is helping unite generations, where young people from primary school actually go into sheltered housing, and there's some interaction there with elderly people, and I know that there's more room for development and growth there. We actually have a small grant scheme of up to £500, and this has really helped a lot of small groups who perhaps do lunch clubs, but perhaps the dishwasher's broken down or they need a new microwave, and that little pot of money has actually made a big, big difference to them. We're now going round to the support services, and I think one of the special services is this 55 Up. 55 Up is a money information service for elderly people. And I'll give you a couple of examples. There was an elderly couple, and they had their daughter that was a carer, and they were really, really struggling financially. The worker that we've got went and worked with these 3 people, and they've actually increased their annual income by £8,750. The person that also runs this service with 4 volunteers at the moment has actually worked with a gentleman that has recently been released from the ALSA, and 3 times this gentleman had tried to take his own life because of debt. The worker that we've got has actually worked with the gentleman. His debt has now been wiped off, The gentleman has now come out of the Ayrshire, he's getting on with his life, he's happy, and he's rehoused, he's living in a sheltered housing in a bedsit, and he's really, really happy. And I think the money advice, that is something that has been one of the best services that I think we've had. We've got Aspire Together, which is another third sector organisation who has been working with people that are socially isolated. There's Ayrshire Council on Alcohol, who have got a working with elderly people with drink problems, and then we've got the foot care. Now, I'm actually lucky enough to be in the age group to be able to test out the foot care, and I actually am now one of the clients, and I tell you what, my feet have never felt better. And the other thing is, I was really surprised because I thought, volunteers, who would want to cut anybody's toenails? And actually, so far in 3 months, Pat, who runs the service, who's also here today, has trained 9 volunteers, and they're really happy. So you'd be surprised what volunteers can do. The next one is about the carer support, and I know David's here today from the Carer Centre, and he'll tell you a lot more about that. There's intergenerational work going on, and Do the Right Thing is obviously about pigeons, and that's happening in Maybole. We've got allotment. There's a lot of work going between schools and older people in allotments, and there's a lot of work going on in the high flats. With regards to community arts, there's the Living Voices. There's been a yearly creative ageing event, and also we run an arts cafe. And the aim of the arts cafe is obviously to help people who are socially isolated and particularly suffering with depression to get out and about. But the items that the people make, we're actually going to sell to try and help sustain the arts cafe. And some of the jewellery and scarves and things that they particularly, well, mainly ladies that have made, are absolutely superb. So if anybody's looking for any Christmas present, come and see me. We've also got dementia support, and that just speaks for itself. We've got an IT bus that's been going out and about delivering IT to older people, because obviously we're living in a world where more and more things are done via the internet. We're going to do some social enterprise training for older people that may be looking to start a social enterprise of their own, and there's health improvement work, including falls training. We're almost there. With regards to community transport, we've got 2 vehicles down in Kyle that were purchased out of the Change Fund, and they actually, I think they've got about 25 groups registered with them at the moment. And we've actually also got a car down in Kyle, but we're actually going to get one in Carrick very soon to take elderly people to non-clinical appointments. And last of all, we've got engagement, and there we have the International Day for Older People that we ran last year. The Seniors Forum are here, and they do a lot of engagement. And next year, we're actually going to have the first Older People's Conference in the spring in South Ayrshire. So this is just a taster of what's going on. This diagram is actually already out of date because things are improving and new ideas and initiatives are coming on board. But as I say, that's just a snapshot. So thanks very much, and now it's over to Fiona to tell you all about East Ayrshire.